Hello, everybody, and welcome back to College Basketball Courtside. My name is Mitch, and today we're going to be ranking my preseason top 5 teams in the Big Ten going into this next year, the 2025-2026 season, which is just around the corner. I'm super excited. Big Ten has a ton of good teams, ton of good talent, as I covered in my top 10 players for the Big Ten video earlier this week. But I'm going to cover in this video what team it is, their stats from last year and how that ranked in the Big Ten, their record from last year, some key departures from the team, some key arrivals for the team to make them better, and then also how they can win the Big Ten, how they can lose the Big Ten or maybe not win the Big Ten, and then also some projected starting lineups. So we're going to get right into it, starting with number 5, UCLA Bruins. Last year, they finished 23-11, and they're 5th in the Big Ten. Now, some stats for them last year, comparing them to the rest of the Big Ten. Points, they averaged 74.8 points per game. This was 15th in the Big Ten out of 18 teams. Not very good. Rebounds, 32.7, also 15th in the Big Ten. Assists, there's 16.3, which is 3rd in the Big Ten. Really good number there. Field goal percentage, 46.6%, which was 8th, about middle of the road. Free throw percentage, an abysmal 70.3%, 14th in the Big Ten. Three-point percentage was very good at 35.2, 6th in the Big Ten. Now, let's get into some key departures that left the program going to other places. You have Ade Mara, center, transferring over to Michigan. He was going to help out with their rebounding, their shot blocking, 2 of their biggest weaknesses from last year's team, and Mara is supposed to have an awesome season for them this year. But he transfers over to Michigan, giving them a big boost in their front court. We'll talk about that later in this video, spoiler alert. But they also lose Sebastian Mack, a guard transferring over to Georgetown, who brought some good minutes for the team last year. But they did replace that guard spot with Donovan Dent, coming in from New Mexico. He averaged 20-plus points per game last year, 6+ assists per game last year. He was honorable mention All-American, one of the best players in the Big Ten. He's immediately UCLA's best player this year, without a doubt. Brings that needed scoring punch. Like I said, they were 15th in the Big Ten in scoring, so he's going to bring hopefully that number up, and they can be in the, hopefully top 6 or top 7 scoring ranges. I don't think they have the firepower to be, maybe top 3, but they do have a lot more firepower with Donovan Dent leading the show. He's going to lead the team in points, assists, steals. He is fantastic. He's unbelievable. He's going to make them so much better. They're also bringing in Jamar Brown from a small school. He averaged 17 points per game last year. He'll probably be a backup shooting guard, but he should bring a nice scoring punch off the bench, and they're going to be pretty thin as well, so they're really going to need him off the bench to score. They're also bringing in Xavier Booker, which I'm really intrigued to see how they use him. If you guys are either a Michigan State fan or a die-hard basketball fan like myself, you know Xavier Booker. Played a couple seasons over at Michigan State, former McDonald's All-American, top 2 recruit in his class as a high school senior, but just never really found his rhythm, didn't really find his role over at Michigan State, kind of settled for too many threes, didn't block shots like Izzo wanted him to, but uber talented, great athlete, tall, long, lefty stroke. He should have a good year, and I'm really curious to see how the Bruins use him, maybe in a backup 4 or 5 role, and he can bring some nice needed floor spacing and then also some shot blocking as well, but we'll see how he fits and we'll see his development. Now, the projected starting lineup, I think it's going to be Donovan Dent, the point guard. That's obvious. He's their best player. Sky Clark, who was a really popular high school player. He's actually carved out a pretty nice career over at UCLA. Great three-point shooter. He'll start the shooting guard spot. He started there last year. Trent Perry, he's their defensive guy. He's going to be guarding the best player every single game. He'll start small forward, I think. Eric Daly Jr., he'll start the power forward. He brings a ton of shot making. Again, this offense is going to be good. He's going to bring a lot of shot making, good athlete. And then at the center spot, they're going to play pretty small. Daly's 6'8", and Tyler Bilodeau, I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly, he's also only about 6'8", and not really a true big. He is a nice lefty stroke. He's going to bring a ton of offense this year, averaged just under 14 points per game last year, so he is going to be huge for them as well, and that is how they can win the Big Ten. Scoring, scoring, scoring. They should have a high-powered offense led by Donovan Dent. They should have one of the better offenses in the Big Ten, and hopefully they can get to that top 5 range, but I think they may be they don't have that front court to really uphold that, but we'll see how they go. They have a ton of firepower though, so that's how they're going to win games. Donovan Dent could be Big Ten Player of the Year if he has an awesome year like I think he will. That's how they're going to win it. Now, What holds them back is that their defense is a major weakness. I'm looking at the stats right here. They had no rim protection. Last year, when Daly and Tyler Bilodeau were the 4 and the 5, opponents shot 65% at the rim. That's not going to cut it. Big Ten has a lot of really good bigs. What happens when they play Purdue and Trey Kaufman-Renn is just absolutely eating them up inside? What if they play Michigan? Yaxel, Morez Johnson, just tearing them up, on the inside. So I think that they are really going to struggle with interior defense. That's why Mara transferring away is a huge loss for them. So look out for the rim protection and there's the defense as a whole. Donovan Dent, not a very inspiring defender, so we'll see how that defense holds up against good Big Ten offenses. But they come in at number 5. I think they have a great year. Now, coming in at number 4 is Oregon. Last year's record, they're 25-10. Big Ten finish of 7th for the season. The team stats compared to the Big Ten, they averaged 76.2 points. This was 12th. Rebounds, 35.5. This was 7th. Assists, 14.6, which is 13th. Field goal percentage, 45.7. This was 9th. Free throw percentage, 76.3, which was 4th. Shot it very well at the free throw line last year, almost 6 points better than UCLA. And then three-point percentage, 34%. That was about 9th, so exactly in the middle of the road. I think there'll be a little better shooting from 3 this year. Nate Biddle, I think, is going to shoot it better. Jackson Shellstead, he's a very good three-point shooter. He'll be their best shooter without a doubt. But some of their key departures that they had, TJ Bamba, he was their defender. He was their workhorse, did the dirty work, averaged double-digit points a game, was their leading steal guy. He was awesome. He was a freak athlete, played about the shooting guard spot, maybe the small forward spot at times, but that is a massive loss for them. They need that kind of defense, so we'll see who's going to take that over, or is Nate Biddle going to have to do even more rim protecting without having TJ Bamba? They also lost Keyshawn Bartholomew, averaged 10 points per game, really good shooter from 3, shot a lot of them, made a lot of them. That is going to be a huge loss for their spacing. Also lost Brandon Angel. He was a forward, played a lot of good minutes for them. He kind of did the dirty work as well. Tough, physical guy, kind of guy you always need in the Big Ten. But what they did add was really good. They had Sean Stewart. He was over at Ohio State. Didn't have a massive role with them, but he's a former McDonald's All-American. He has tons and tons of talent. I think he's going to have a really good year in this roster. They also are bringing in Takai Simpson, a guard from Elon, averaged 16 points per game and 37% from 3. So he really shot it well. They're going to need that to up that 3-point percentage. My projected starting lineup for them, Jackson Shellstead, Takai Simpkins, Devin Pryor. He comes over from Texas. Didn't really do a whole lot over there, but really good athlete. I think he's a pretty good player. He should have a good year this year. Power forward, KJ Evans, and then Sean Stewart, I think, is going to come off the bench for that backup 4 spot. And then Nate Biddle. Again, you'll see Nate Biddle. He's in my other video for a top 5 or top 10 player in the Big Ten. I think he's having an awesome year. Now, how can they win the Big Ten? I think with elite rim protection with Biddle, Evans, and Stewart. They are all fantastic rim protectors. It is going to be very difficult for teams to get shots up against them. Biddle, he's 7 feet tall, 7'5" wingspan. He is really good at blocking shots. The other 2, great athletes, going to be a load down there. So their rim protecting is going to be top-notch in the Big Ten. And then also, they have veteran chemistry. Biddle and Shellstead especially, they've played with each other for years now. They had another year to get chemistry together. I think they're going to be really good, great chemistry. They're an older team. We've seen in the past now, older teams win the big one. Older teams usually do better in tournaments and do or die scenarios. They just do better because they have the kind of experience and they kind of have that maturity to them. So they're a veteran-led group that is going to be huge for them. Now, how can they not win the Big Ten? What's holding them back? I think role players like Evans, Pryor coming from Texas, and Stewart, they really need to step up. I project them to have good years, and Stewart really should have an awesome year for them, but, we haven't seen it yet. He hasn't proved it yet, and, I can only judge you based on last season, and last season he didn't do too much. So how is he going to hold up in the Big Ten? How is he going to fit in with this new Oregon offense, this new Oregon team as a whole? And then also, Jackson Shellstead, he needs to take that jump in order to win the Big Ten. He hasn't yet. I think a lot of us kind of expected it last year to kind of jump to that 16, 17, 18 points per game guy. He just didn't quite get there. But, can he this year? He hasn't proved it yet, so I have no reason to think he can. But, I do believe in him. I think he's a terrific player, super smart, can shoot the hell out of the ball. I love Jackson Shellstead and this Oregon team. They come in at number 4. Now, number 3 team in the Big Ten this upcoming season is going to be Illinois. Illinois last year, they were 22-13. They finished 8th in the Big Ten. So good overall record, but kind of struggle in the Big Ten a little bit. And let's show some team stats for them. Last year, they averaged 83.8 points per game. This was first in the entire Big Ten, and I think they're probably going to lead the Big Ten in scoring again this year. I'll get to that later. Rebounds, 42.5. First in the Big Ten. I mean, so far it's looking pretty good, right? How did they finish 8th in the Big Ten last year? Assists, they were 10th at 15 a game. We'll see, even losing Kasperius Yakachonis. He was their main guy. He was an awesome playmaker, an NBA guy, a first-round pick. He was playing the point guard spot, and they still weren't very high in assists. They were 10 out of 18. So who's going to take over that role? I'll get into that later. Field goal percentage, 45. That was 14th in the Big Ten. So scoring a lot of points, but not very efficiently. Free throw percentage, they were 3rd. This is where they were getting a lot of good points. 75.9% at the line, which is fantastic. 3-point percentage, 31.1, which is 17th out of 18th in the Big Ten, which means one thing. They dominated the mid-range. They dominated the inside. Boswell, their bigs from last year. Yakachonis, he wasn't really a 3-point shooter, but man, he could get to the rim at will. They lose that, and it shows right there. Field goal percentage, 45. 3-point percentage, 17th. Didn't really have the shooters last year. They lost Yakachonis, like I said, to the NBA. They lost Morez Johnson to Michigan. You'll see 2 of the 3 teams so far have bigs transferring over to Michigan. That was a huge loss. He was a freshman last year. Led the team in double-doubles. He was their energy guy, their motor guy. He's a fantastic rebounder. He had an awesome summer with Team USA and his age group. That's going to be a huge loss. He's supposed to have a massive sophomore season with Illinois. Now I project him to have a good season with Michigan over there. They also lost Will Riley to the NBA draft. Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year. He was a freshman. Would have had an awesome sophomore year. Would have probably started or been another sixth man, and he would have lit it up. They lose him. He was just uber talented, highly rated recruit, and that's a big loss for them. But looking at the key additions here, Andrej Stojakovic, who I cover in my top 10 players in the Big Ten video earlier this week. He's a Cal transfer, averaged 18 points per game. However, he does not fix the 3-point shooting. Didn't shoot it very well at Cal, didn't shoot it very well at Stanford before that. Can he make that jump, to be a consistently good 3-point shooter like his dad in the NBA, Peja Stojakovic, who is an absolute sniper. But he's very smart. He knows how to play. He cuts well. He gets to the rim super well. He is unstoppable when he gets to the cup. He's a great defender as well, which should help their defense. They scored a ton of points, obviously, so that means they gave up a lot of points too because they're 8th in the Big Ten. But he averaged over a block a game as a small forward, and I look for that to happen again. He's a great defender, very instinctual. Just needs to add a little bit more weight to him. And then for their point guard spot, who's taking it over, excuse my pronunciation, Mijalu Petrovic, point guard. He's a Serbian guard coming from KK Megabasket Professional League over there in Serbia. He had a really good year over there, but how is he going to hold up in the Big Ten? We'll have to see. I project their starting lineup to be Petrovic, who I just mentioned, Kylan Boswell, former highly rated recruit, was over at Arizona. Now he's at Illinois for his second season there. Had a great year last year. He's an awesome defender. He is going to be their leader, their veteran guy, their rock. Small forward, I think it's going to be Andrej Stojakovic. Power forward, Ben Humrichis. Again, I apologize that I am not an announcer. I am not good with pronunciations, but he's their shooter. He's their sniper. He's the one guy who consistently knocks down threes. He led the team in three-pointers made last season. I think he's going to do it again. I think he's really, really going to benefit from having Andrej Stojakovic and Boswell, Petrovic, who's a good playmaker. I think he's really going to work well off of them. And then at their center spot, Tomislav Ivisic, who started for them last year. He's 7 feet tall, hit 40-plus threes last year, lefty. He's going to be great again this year, so look out for him. Now, how can they win the Big Ten? It's the same thing as last year, their offense and their shooting. I mean, They have so much offense, so much firepower, especially in the mid range and at the rim. We've already covered their 3-point struggles, but Stojakovic, can he take that next step to be a great 3-point shooter? That's going to help them out. But they're going to be balanced. They have multiple scoring threats: Boswell, Stojakovic, Ben Humerichis, and Tommy Slavovicic. They all have awesome shooting strokes. I think they'd be really good on the offensive end. High IQ roster, older players, kind of like Oregon, veteran-led team. But how are they going to be held back? How are they not going to win the Big Ten this year? Defensive concerns outside of Boswell. Stojakovic can block some shots, but sometimes gets lost. He's a little wiry, pretty skinny, so he can get kind of bullied off a spot pretty easily. And they just gave up a ton of points last year. That's really it. Petrovic, he's unproven in the NCAA. He only played at KK Megabasket. He doesn't have that Big Ten experience. How is he going to hold up? Ty Rogers, is he going to return this year? Man, highly rated recruit, awesome freshman season, derailed by injuries. And if he comes back, he could be a huge asset to them. So look out for Illinois this year. I think they're going to be awesome. I project them to be third. But that leads me now to my number 2 team. And it is a little biased. Where is it? I got my Michigan on. I am a Michigan fan, I have to admit. Last year, they were 27-10. They finished third in the Big Ten, and here's how their stats lined up against everybody else. They averaged 78.3 points per game. This was 7th in the Big Ten. Rebounds, 38.2. That was 3rd in the Big Ten. They had Vlad Golden, Danny Wolf, great rebounders. Assists, 16.1, 7th in the Big Ten. Field goal percentage, 47.4, 6th in the Big Ten. Free throw percentage, 72.8, 12th in the Big Ten. I don't think Michigan's ever been good at shooting free throws. That has been their Achilles heel ever since I started watching them as a little kid. Now, the 3-point percentage, 33.4, 13th in the Big Ten. So free throw percentage, 3-point percentage usually go hand in hand. It's pretty telling. If you can shoot free throws, you probably have a pretty good form. You can shoot threes. That shows right here them being 12th and 13th respectively in those categories. But they had some big losses. Vlad Golden lost him to the NBA. Danny Wolf, first round pick, lost him to the NBA. That's their starting front court. They replaced them with 2 key transfers, which I'll get into. But Vlad was their leading scorer. He was an absolute monster down low. Had a couple of big games. Had 35 against UCLA. He is awesome. So he is a huge loss. He came over from Florida Atlantic with Dusty May. And then Danny Wolf goes to the NBA as well. He's going to be a big loss. He kind of initiated a lot of their offense, and he also is their team's leading rebounder, creative, shot maker, kind of got things going when things were stale, but turned it over a lot. So we'll see if we can kind of clean those up with this new roster. And who we're bringing in, I am so excited for Yaxel Lendeborg. Forward from UAB, do-it-all forward. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the Big Ten, if not in the country. Big Ten Player of the Year and Naismith Player of the Year. They lean towards bigger guys who have put up huge stats. I think Yaxel's going to be that. He's going to be the leading scorer, rebounder. Probably he'll compete with Morris Johnson for rebounding, but he'll guard the best player. He'll have, by 4+ assists per game. And he's just outstanding. I think he's going to have a great year for Michigan. Morris Johnson coming over from Illinois. He's going to start at the center spot, I believe. He is a great athlete, great motor, and an elite rebounder. Offensively and defensively, lob threat. I kind of covered him a little bit while talking about Illinois. Look out for him. He's going to be awesome. They also bring in Elliot Cadeau, former, I forget if he's a 5-star or a 4-star recruit, highly rated recruit though, coming over from UNC. Uber athletic, probably one of the most athletic point guards in the entire country. Has good size as well, great playmaking, averaged a lot of assists last year. And then Michigan is a 5-star freshman from Michigan, actually, from Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Trey McKinney, shooting guard. He is just a bucket. He can go out, he can get you one when offense is stale. I think he's going to be fantastic. Probably not going to start right away from Michigan. I don't think he's going to start at all, actually, from Michigan. He'll be that 6-man scoring punch and just get a bucket when you need one. Great shooting stroke, was awesome from Team USA, and now that kind of leads me into my projected starting lineup for the Michigan Wolverines this year. Point guard, Elliot Cadeau. Shooting guard, Roddy Gale Jr. Started a lot for Michigan last year from Ohio State. Let's see if he can make that big year 2 jump here at Michigan. Small forward, Namari Burnett. Best shooter on the team, probably. Actually, most definitely best shooter on the team. He's a sniper, shot at a very high clip. He's that floor spacer for them. They're going to need that a lot. Power forward, Yaxel Lendeborg. Already talked about him. He's fantastic. Center, Morris Johnson. Already talked about him enough. Fantastic. How can they win the Big Ten? I kind of just covered it, talking about the new front court mates and Morris Johnson and Yaxel. They're going to be elite. This is the best front court in the Big Ten. Only other team that rivals them, I'm probably about to cover them at the number 1 spot. But they are fantastic. They do it all. They're going to rebound at a high level. They're going to score at a high level, especially Axel. And they're going to play defense at a high level. This makes for a great front court. They're both very athletic, can guard a lot of positions. I'm really excited for this front court. They have lockdown defense. Gale is a great defender. Cadeau, great defender. Axel, great defender. He was the AAC Defensive Player of the Year last year. So they are going to be great defensively, I believe. They have depth. They have just a lot of talent on the roster this year, which I think is going to help them a lot. But they do have some very glaring flaws. The number 1, shooting, perimeter shooting. Cadeau didn't shoot it very good from 3 last year. Roddy Gale went through a huge cold streak last year. Couldn't shoot it. Burnett is really their main proven shot maker from 3. Yaxel shot at about 35% at UAB, but, is he going to take 6 threes a game and hit 2.5 of them? We'll see. We just don't know yet. There's a lot of new faces. Chemistry could take time, especially with a new point guard and a new front court. That takes a lot with who's initiating the offense. When Yaxel's going to be your best player, have the ball a lot, but your point guard's also new. How's that going to work? Turnovers could haunt them again. They have been really turnover heavy ever since Beeline left. And Cadeau had some turnover problems as well, some decision-making problems. And, Yaxel, when he has the ball a lot, yeah, he does a lot of good things, but, he's a big guy, doesn't have that sharp handle. He can turn over as well. So we'll see how that works out. I think Michigan's going to have an awesome year. I think they'll be number 2. However, they're not going to be number 1 because that goes to Purdue. Last year's record, 24-12. The Big Ten finished was 6th, actually, which is surprising based on the talent level of the roster. How they stacked up compared to the rest of the Big Ten, though, they averaged 77.9 points. That was 9th. Rebounds, 32.4. That was 14th. Assists, 16.0. That was 5th. Field goal percentage, 49. That was 2nd in the entire Big Ten. That's a lot thanks to Trey Kaufman-Renn. Braden Smith shot it really well. Fletcher Lawyer, good player. Free throw percentage, 73%. That's 11th. Three-point percentage, 38.5. That was 1st in the Big Ten. Braden Smith shot it incredibly well from 3. Fletcher Lawyer is a sniper from 3. They had a lot of really good shooters last year, and they didn't lose anybody. Heidi was really the only guy they left that, has some good flashes, but didn't really project for him to have a great year because of these key additions I'm about to get into. Oscar Clough, a center from South Dakota State. Last year, he averaged 17.6 points, 12.3 rebounds. And if you look up there, back at the rebounds, 32.4. They were 14th in the whole Big Ten last year. He immediately helps them out in the rebounding category. Trey Kaufman-Renn doesn't rebound as much as I would probably like, being a 6'8", really athletic guy, strong guy, but Clough is going to do all the dirty work. He is a huge presence down there. He's a monster, just a big burly guy. He's going to be a problem down there. And they also bring in Liam Murphy. And this is a case of the rich get richer. He shot 42% from 3 on 7+ attempts last year. And he did that for multiple years over at North Florida. He brings a elite shot-making presence to this team that they need. And he's probably going to come off the bench, would be my guess, just because of the continuity and all the returners Purdue has. He has to come off the bench. Every other team, he'd probably start. He'd probably start for Michigan. He'd probably start for Illinois. He's a great player. Just brings a lot of shooting. And then this is the key addition. He was on the team last year, but got injured very early, like the 3rd or the 4th game. Daniel Jacobson. You might remember seeing him all over social media when Matt Painter got him over to Purdue. 7'4", kind of looks like Isaac Haas. Looks like those typical tall, skinny guys over at Purdue. But he is super skilled. Was awesome for Team USA before he got hurt when he was younger. 7'4", super skilled big guy. With him being healthy, he's a huge key addition that this did not have last year. I think he's going to come off the bench, and I'll get into that right now with my projected starting lineups. Point guard, Braden Smith, obvious. He's preseason Big Ten Player of the Year. He's probably going to be Naismith preseason Player of the Year. Just an awesome all-around point guard. Shooting guard, Fletcher Lawyer, has started for a couple years now. Small forward, CJ Cox, started last year, great defender. Power forward, Trey Kaufman-Renn, started last year, 20+ point per game scorer, going to be the leading scorer again this year. Center, Oscar Clough, I just covered him, South Dakota State transfer. Just a big guy down low. How can they win the Big Ten? Now, it's all about continuity. They're veteran-led. They've been together for years now. Trey Kaufman-Renn, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer. This is the only program they've played for. Or even CJ Cox, only program they've played for. So that continuity is going to be so good for Matt Painter and his squad. And that's just, again, going to propel them to the top. Being veteran-led, being together for so long, so many practices, scrimmages, games together. They've been in the trenches together. And then also, they're the best player in the conference and maybe the country in Braden Smith. And they also are an elite three-point shooting team and a physical front court. Clough was such a huge pickup for them. I cannot overstate that enough. And then also the three-point shooting. Again, they led the Big Ten last year in threes, and they're going to lead them again this year. I have no doubt about that at all. Now, how can they not win the Big Ten? It seems like they have it all. They have one of the best players in the country. They have one of the leading scorers in the country, Trey Kaufman-Ryan. They have a monster big guy, Oscar Clough. How are they not going to win? Now, they don't have any top-tier NBA prospects. If you look at a lot of Big Ten past winners, and more importantly, NCAA champions, they have NBA talent. And nobody on this team projects as an NBA talent to me. Trey Kaufman-Ryan doesn't shoot the three at all. He's 6'8". He's probably going to have to play either a small power forward or an out-of-position small forward, and that's just not his game. The backcourt lacks a lot of athleticism, and this hurts them offensively and defensively. Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer both struggle with long, athletic defenders, and then also can they guard, these athletic point guards? Michigan, Elliot Cadeau, very good athlete. Donovan Dent. Nobody can stay in front of him ever. There's a lot of really good point guards and really good backcourts in the Big Ten this year. How are they going to guard them? And that leads to my next concern, just their defense overall. Trey Kaufman-Ryan is not a great defender. He's good on ball, but doesn't block a lot of shots for his size and athleticism. Doesn't rebound particularly well. Can Clough bring in that shot blocking, rebounding? I believe so, but we'll just have to see. And then, like I said, Smith and Lawyer, they can just struggle against some athletic defenders, but they've proven that they can get through that. Now, I did want to cover some honorable mentions for this video. There's a lot of good teams in the Big Ten. I wouldn't feel right not mentioning these teams that have a chance to crack into the top 5, I believe, if their season goes the correct way and how they want it to. First is Wisconsin. They have John Blackwell. He's going to be one of the leading scorers in the Big Ten. Super talented. I think he's going to be great this year for Wisconsin, and they have a much better year. Iowa, they bring in Bennett Sturts. Their offense is going to be super fun. They're going to make a ton of shots, but can they guard? That's why they were left off this list. And then Michigan State. I think they had a big injury to one of their key transfers who I thought was going to be their leading scorer. They lost him to an ACL tear, unfortunately. We really hate to see that. I am a Michigan fan, but I have always liked Michigan State hoops. I respect the hell out of Izzo. He is an awesome coach. That's why he's here, is their continuity. They have a lot of key returning guys. Cohen Carr, Jeremy Fears, those are the two best players. Those guys are going to be key to how far they can make it. Can Carr shoot a little bit better from three? Does it add a little more to his bag? Fears, can he shoot a little bit better? They were dead last in the Big Ten in three-point shooting last year. So how do they overcome those? Do they see some good development from previous freshmen who are now sophomores? Does Cam Ward? He's a freshman over there as well. Highly rated recruit. Top scorer in Maryland history in high school basketball. So we'll see how they go. Tom Izzo brings his best. They're going to rebound well. They're going to limit threes, and they're going to play together, and they're going to play hard. They're just a tough team. They're never going to go down. So that is why I include Michigan State in this list as well. But those are my top 5 teams in the Big Ten for this upcoming year. It's going to be an awesome season. I'm so excited to watch Big Ten basketball finally. It's been so long. I'm really excited, but thank you guys for watching. This is College Basketball Courtside. I'm Mitch, and have a great day.